Hey, folks, welcome to InTheMoneyStocks.com's intraday analysis video, brought to you by the creators of proprietary price, pattern, and time methodology. Learn the PPT strategies and profit for life. My name is Gareth Soloway. Let's get into the action today on this Monday, October 13th, 2014. Markets are slightly lower today. We have bounced off the lows of the day. What you're looking at here is the 60-minute SPY chart. Remember, the SPY mimics the S&P 500. It basically is the tracking ETF. All right, take a look at this, guys. The reason why I have this chart up to start with is because of this low of the day. Look at what it matches up to. And if I zoom out here, and we just go back a little ways, and I just have to zoom back just slightly here. Take a look. All right, so this pivot top here with this pivot top as well. So again, you can even see a little bit of a pivot right in there, but that area of support is what's held the market in check today so far. Now, will it continue to hold it today, tomorrow? That's the big question. Now, why is it a big question? Well, basically, you have to recognize that the bond market is closed today. And if we flip back to the 10-minute chart, you guys can see exactly how we're trading. We sold off early and then bounced, and now we're fading just a little bit. We'll see if we see that late-day sell-off like we did on Friday. But again, the bond market is closed today, and that's concerning because it means there's a lot less participants in this market. Even though the volume is pretty sizable, it definitely is not as high as it would be if the bond market was up. And the bond market is really the big money. A lot of people think the stock market is the big money. No, it's the bond market. That's where you have trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars being moved back and forth and back and forth. So I often look at the day when the bond market's closed as being a very hard day to read overall movement. Now, again, you can see before you what type of movement we've got, but I'm talking about projections, projecting out to tomorrow. All right, do we have a pivot low here? Even if we sell off, are we going to see that as a true sell-off, or is it going to snap back tomorrow when the bond market opens? Or maybe today will end flat to positive, and tomorrow we'll see a big sell-off. And that's really what we're trying to figure out here, and what I kind of want to impress upon you in terms of taking it very cautiously into the end of the day today. And again, you can see right here, again, the market sold off into that key level, bounced back nicely into this little resistance. You have the 50 MA here, and then we've just slowly, and I say slowly, and I mean it, very slowly faded back to the downside here. We might be picking up a little steam here into the end of the day, but we'll watch that again closely. Couple things to note here. Number one, oil reversed off early losses and is now basically flat on the USO today, down 2 cents. We were down sharply. We might have a bottoming tail on the day. We'll have to continue to watch very closely. Again, right now it's borderline, but again, doji on Friday, and then today potentially a bottoming tail. I am closely watching this as I do think oil is short-term oversold, and a lot of these oil plays have just been absolutely annihilated. Like if you take a look at the OIH, for instance, this is the oil services players, down 70 cents right now. Look at that chart. I mean, that is one heck of a drop, an absolute annihilation. And believe it or not, you actually have a lot of support coming into play here. In fact, right here, we're just below it a little bit on the daily chart, but there's support there. You have another level of support here, another level of support here, and then even down here you have more support. So there's a lot of supports coming into play here. Right now there's a mass exodus of money out of these players, but the question is, when does it subside? Because when it subsides, you'll see a big bounce, and it will coincide with oil bouncing. So that's why I'm very cautiously watching that oil trade, because when that bounces, you're going to see stocks where ETFs like OIH, obviously the USO would bounce since that's oil, but also plays such as Chevron and Exxon. And interestingly enough, Exxon today is actually green, 50 cents higher, even though a lot of the oil services players are down. Chevron today, if we look at Chevron real quick here, you can see that one is down about 40 cents, but that's even a small loss on the day, considering where the OIH is trading. We're seeing a lot of the bigger losses in stocks like Chesapeake. I mean, Chesapeake's just been murdered here. What's interesting about Chesapeake here is from the mid-June period right here this year, this was a $31.50 stock. It's now $18, and that's basically in 4 months. So that's a 40% drop in the share price in 4 months. And interestingly enough, take a look at this, guys. A little bit of support, pivot low right there. Not to say it can't push through, but I would generally favor a bounce at this level. If it does push through, it's going down here. But again, short term, you have to think that there's a potential for a bounce on Chesapeake here. Okay, so interesting stuff here for sure as we continue to watch this market. One stock that's rebounding today, U.S. Steel. This is one of the most, I mean, there's a lot of amazing charts out there, but one chart that caught my eye here is U.S. Steel. U.S. Steel was as high as $46. It sold off down to about $32 on Friday, and today is getting a little bit of a bounce. If the commodity area bounces, this could literally have a move back to about 37 or so, maybe even 38. I think 38 is possible. The 50 and the 20 MA right up here. Could it go a little bit lower? Sure. Where's support? Right below this current level here on the daily chart. This gap window is going to be support. After that, you got the 200 moving average. All right. Taking a look at some of the other big boys out there, Apple today is up 37 cents or so, kind of just hovering here. In all fairness, the market's being slightly red, Apple green. That's a positive sign. So again, Apple is stronger than the relative market here. A couple other stocks to look at: Goldman Sachs up 20 cents, JPM up 42 cents. And by the way, we're getting into earnings season. Last week, Alcoa reported, but this week we have JPM, Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, I believe, reports, Netflix reports, Google reports. And again, Netflix, if you take a look at Netflix today, down about $8 on the day. Good bounce back off the lows, but they report on Wednesday after the close, and Google reports on Thursday after the close. By the way, look at this level on Google. I gave it to the intraday stock chat today as a buy level, and look at that. Came down, pierced, and look at the size of the bounce already. I mean, it doesn't look that big on this, but it's actually about a $4 to $5 bounce off the lows of the day there. All right, so that's what we have going on there, folks, as I continue to just scan through. We obviously have fears about Ebola, TKMR, which is one of the Ebola plays. Not really up that much, which is interesting. So a lot of discounting going on here. People aren't getting that riled up about the newest Ebola patient that was exposed, apparently, from the current, or the one that passed away last week. Really sad situation there. Hopefully, medical attention will be good enough to help her get through that. But in any case, TKMR not doing too much today. And by the way, the fact that it's not bouncing more is actually a bearish sign for me. Okay, at least in the short term, just you'd think over the weekend with that news, I would have expected this to be up $3 today, 15% or so, maybe even 20%, and it's basically up 3.5%. That is not a great showing for that stock, so I would actually consider it a good possibility of going lower. Zillow today down about $2.86. Take a look at Zillow, guys. The reason why I want you to see Zillow is because it's not too far away from this. In fact, it actually did hit this level, and this is a very, very key support on Zillow. So watch that support. In fact, again, as I show you guys, we did hit this level on symbol Z, and there is a good chance that we see some bounce action off of it, off this level. Facebook today having a decent day, up $1.10. That had an absolute annihilation move on Friday, so that's kind of interesting to kind of follow and see how it all plays out. But that was absolutely annihilated. I had puts on that, and we made, I think, 60% on those puts in the options alerts at inthemoneystocks.com. So really a good one there. Let me just see if there's anything else out there that's catching my eye. I did put out some new alerts today, guys, and again, I'm not going to give them to you. They're already in the money for the most part. And again, just picking and choosing your areas, that's the key thing to do. Let's take a look at the spiders again. Go back to the intraday 10-minute chart here, and you can just see that the slow fade is just continuing. There's nothing new here. Spiders are just slowly fading. The market continues to be concerned about global growth. I think that's the biggest thing. The Ebola scare is definitely on the mind of the market, but it's just one addition. The big thing, again, is global growth. Europe, China, South America. The price of oil is obviously hurting a lot of countries like Venezuela, the Middle East countries, Russia, and a lot of those. So global growth definitely in watch and in focus here, and could be a major detractor from the markets and a negative for the markets. It's actually funny because a lot of people would assume, well, low oil price means cheap prices at the pump, so that would be good for the economy. Well, on a domestic point, yes, but the problem is the global markets, they're leveraged to that price of oil to the point where it's a growth factor. And when you see oil coming in, it's basically telling everyone, hey, listen, global demand is not there. And that's why it's come in so much. We've seen oil collapse from basically $100 a barrel to $84 a barrel, $85 a barrel where it currently sits. But again, that is not a good thing in the global picture, even though it is a good thing domestically for our gas tanks. Okay, so just something to keep an eye on, folks, and we'll continue to keep you guys updated. But right now, markets just continue to slowly fade. We have about an hour, 10 minutes left in the trading day till 4 p.m. Eastern time. What you're going to watch for into the end of the day, watch to see if the markets start to collapse like we did on Friday. Friday, the markets were actually flat to positive by midday, early afternoon, and then they just got crushed. Is that going to happen today, or do we see a change in character? Also, remember, bond market is closed today, and that is something you must be aware of as well. All right, guys, enough said. Come join us here at InTheMoneyStocks.com. If you want swing trades alerts on ETFs and stocks, that's the Research Center. If you want options alerts, that's the options alerts, obviously. So, again, choose your poison here. Come join us. Profit with the pros. We're here to help. Take care.